Today is one of my favorite things that we do here in Foundations. We open up Evergreen Evolution to found one of our Foundations groups. In Foundations, we do 4 groups a week. Dave's going to be leading a group. I lead a group. Dinka Salvador leads an astrology group. I lead another motivation and intention groups on Mondays. So we like to really give everybody an opportunity to meet up as much as they can so we can meet you where you are and get you to that next level, because my biggest thing that lights me up in life is meeting amazing people and helping them get exactly where they want to go. And today we have a super exciting guest that I met a few months back, a while ago now. We've had an onboarding call in EE. And since then, Melissa's become a really great friend, and just learning from her has been incredible. So I'm super excited for this one. So today, Melissa's going to talk about the blueprint method and how it lines up with Evergreen Foundations, a lifestyle that we teach based off of living life of 5 pillars of evolution, just really looking at your life in a balanced way. So without further ado, Melissa, introduce yourself, and here you go. Welcome to the Foundation's guest calls.
Hello, thank you for having me. Um, so yeah, I want to thank everyone for joining this month's call. I'm super excited. Brandon clearly is, but just in talking with everyone, I think we're all pretty excited about this. Like he said, we're going to explore the 5 pillars of evolution, which is the Evergreen Evolution. It's their foundation, and it's also part of the Evergreen Foundations, which is where we are. That's what it's built on. So for those that don't know me yet, I'm Dr. Melissa Parteka. Many of you just know me as Melissa. That's quite all right. So I'm the founder of the Blueprint Method, and that's where I help people discover their authentic self and their purpose in life so that they can live a happy, healthy life and also have thriving relationships in the process. Much of the principles from my Blueprint Method align with these 5 pillars. So today we're going to explore them from the Blueprint Method perspective. And so it's from my perspective, but my understanding is that it's going to be very, very similar. So a little bit about me. I'm originally from Nebraska. I was raised, so it's pretty much right in the middle of the United States. It's the middle of the US, but also the middle of nowhere. There's nothing out there. It's very remote. But you can drive, I don't know, 2 to 4 hours and you are everywhere. Chicago, Kansas City, St. Louis. As soon as I could, I left Nebraska and I joined the military. Through that, I've lived all over the world and also did some time overseas, both sort of recreationally in nice places like Italy, but also spending some time in Iraq. And I'm still serving. I'm at 25 years and counting. As far as education goes, my first degree was in landscape design, but only my personal yard gets to benefit from that. I then got my associates in intelligence and my bachelor's in criminal justice. I originally thought I wanted to be a criminal profiler with the FBI, but once I got to that level of my master's and doing criminal justice to actually get that position, I couldn't bring myself to complete my first assignment, which is definitely not like me. So I did some deep thinking and it's like, okay, if I'm really at this point in my life, what do I really want to be when I grow up? And I decided to pursue my master's in marriage and family therapy and ultimately then my doctorate in psychology. I actually had a couple of weeks overlap where I was doing both my master's and doctorate. I knew that if I stopped, I wouldn't start again. Experience, as far as official experience, doing any counseling or anything, I had 15 months with my internship where I met with couples and families, but unofficially, I have a lifetime of experience. People just naturally come to me with their personal, sometimes too personal issues, their relationships, family issues. It's kind of like I just have a sign that says, "Tell me your problems." far as my why, I have a natural draw to people for them to come to me with their problems. I think I'm a pretty good listener. At least that's what I keep getting told. I don't talk much, aside from right now, I'll be talking a lot, but in general, I'm more of a listener. I watched my own parents go through divorce and counseling, and unfortunately, my first marriage suffered that same fate. So I wanted others to stay together and to grow stronger because of their struggles instead of growing apart. And through my own experience, I realized that the change has to first start with the individual while also mutually occurring within the relationship. So not just as a couple, but any relationship in your life with your friends, with your coworkers, your parents, your children. All relationships are similar, or at least have similar needs. Some of my interests, I love reading, I love hiking, being outside, spending time with my animals. So I have Emma, which is my lab boxer mix. She's currently napping. And Oliver and Alice are my cats. They're outside, probably chasing mice right now. I also enjoy gardening, camping, which I did all earlier this week, and spending time with my husband, Chris, and our daughter, Adeline, which she might interrupt us. It's okay. She likes to say hi to everybody. And with school, so I first learned about school last fall when a friend of mine, the one that actually helped me gain awareness to my authentic self and my purpose in life, she invited me to support her school community. And it's rooted in equine assistance to help with that discovery process. So after that, I soon began joining other communities and connecting people from all around the world. For the first time in my life, I felt normal. I felt like I had found my tribe, my people. And I consider many of you on this call today and the others within the communities, I consider you to be my friends, which is not a term that I've really felt comfortable using much in my life. I have pretty high standards, and often people will betray my trust. And so I have not, I'm very comfortable calling you all my friends. Whenever I do meet and interact with you people, it's just like meeting up with an old friend. There's just that immediate connection and comfort. So the first pillar of the Evergreen Evolution and Evergreen Foundations is the mindset mastery. And this includes self-talk, emotion regulation, mental toughness, and who's in control. With self-talk, what you say matters, whether you say it out loud, whether you say it in your own head. Your words, they matter. And with that, the universe, God, source, whatever you may call it, is listening. And when you put those words out there, they are likely going to happen. So if you're talking negatively to yourself, and maybe you're even joking, well, God doesn't really joke. He, here's your words, takes them literally, and provides what you're asking. So be careful what you're saying to yourself, what you're saying to others, what you're thinking. It all has power. With your emotion regulation, you may not necessarily choose how you feel. It may just be an automatic reaction, but you can choose how you react. You are in control of your behaviors. When I first learned of this, I was so reassured, because then I realized I can't make people mad. I might do something that upsets somebody else, but if they choose to get mad, that's on them. If they choose to dismiss what I did, or however they choose to react, that's on them. And so that really freed me up to take personal accountability for my own actions and behaviors and my emotions, and to let everyone else take their own personal accountability as well. With your mental toughness, so this right here is the key to resilience. Everything begins in your mind. So if you believe in yourself, the world, everything around you, it starts to respond. If you love yourself, others will follow that example and they will love you in that way that you're showing how you deserve to be loved. If you don't use mental toughness, you will lose it. So like anything in life, with your brain, you can do muscle memory just through repetitive actions that creates strengthened neural pathways. Any of your thoughts, your words, all that creates strengthened neural pathways in your brain. And so the more you use it, the stronger that it'll get. And that also goes for your mental toughness and your resilience. And who's in control? Who's in control of your life? A better way to put this is, who gets to decide? Who gets to decide how you get to live your life, how you get to show up every day? Maybe today is just a day that you feel like you need to sit on the couch. Well, who gets to decide that? So if you're coming up against something that you're feeling external pressure, or perhaps even internal pressure, you're feeling guilty for, wanting to have that ice cream, or you're wanting to go for a walk by yourself, whatever it may be, ask yourself, who gets to decide? Within the blueprint method, something that I would add that also fits into this is managing your expectations. So we cover the 6 delusions, and those include the delusion that you or others live outside of their blueprint or outside of who they are authentically. The delusion that you are supposed to live within someone else's blueprint or someone else's expectations. The expectation or delusion that God, source, or the universe lives in your blueprint. So you might put out a thought and have full expectations of what it will look like when you receive it, but it may come back to you in a different way. And so that's part of that delusion. The delusion that animals will live in your blueprint. Maybe you have an animal that wants to nap all day and you want to take it for a walk. So there's just different expectations there, and just paying attention to those. Something we all might experience is the delusion that technology lives within your blueprint, within your expectations. I know it doesn't respond as quickly as some of my creativity flows out of me, so that can be a personal challenge sometimes. But you just learn to work within that and recognize that expectation and delusion. And then lastly, the delusion that relationships last forever. So people come and go in your life, just as you come and go in other people's lives. And, some of those relationships can last a lifetime. Some can last, a brief 5-minute interaction. They're all meant to last just how long that they're supposed to be. And having that awareness and acceptance frees you from any guilt or anything you may feel if the relationship doesn't continue, or someone else's behavior is occurring in a way that no longer aligns with what you want in your life. It's okay to let those relationships go. And I know that's easier said than done. So another element within managing your expectations is minding your business. There's 3 types of business that I cover within the blueprint method. You have God's business, other people's business, and your business. So God's business, that's everything. Everything that is not in your control or not in someone else's control. And then, so that brings you to the other 2, other people's business. So that's within their lane. and then your business is in your lane. And sometimes you'll see, as you're driving down the road and there's construction, you'll see a big sign that says stay in your lane. Sometimes that's just kind of a little reminder for yourself. Just stay in your lane, stay in your blueprint, only expect out of yourself what is possible, and let others live their lives as well. Also, to the mindset mastery, I would add the element of boundaries and agreements. So a lot of us have heard what boundaries are. We understand you're setting boundaries within your life of what you will accept and tolerate of others, and what you are willing to give out to others. And then also the agreements is based on the 4 Agreements, the book by Don Miguel Ruiz. And I find that to be personally life-changing for me. It freed me to live my life, to have permission to be myself, to give myself grace, and also just to, one of the agreements is to do your best. And sometimes your best in that day is getting out of bed. Sometimes your best is running a marathon. Your best is going to change. It's going to change throughout the day. You're going to have more energy and more output in the morning because you're rested, but as the day wears on you, your best is less than what it was at 9 a.m. The next pillar is body vitality. And this includes movement, nutrition, and I can get it to go, and rest. With movement, I encourage people to move naturally. Of course, if going to the gym, if running on a treadmill, if running a marathon, if any of that is what you're desired to do, by all means, that's movement, and do what you're called, do what you feel is best for you at the moment. But it doesn't have to be what it looks like. Movement can be what you do naturally in your day, from standing up from your chair. Perhaps you sit down on the floor. There's a lot of movement in that, a lot of core stability, movement in your knees and your joints and your quads. Just pretty much your whole body's engaged. Other natural movement, you can go for a walk, you can ride a bicycle, you can even incorporate that into your commute if it's short enough, or if you're willing to walk 20 miles instead of driving. That's your personal choice. But other movements that you can do within your day are just squatting, lunging. You find a way to push or pull things, to bend, twist. Whether you're standing there at the sink doing your dishes, instead of completely turning your body and walking over there, you can twist, do a twisting motion. You can do like a lunging motion across the counter. So you can find ways to naturally incorporate movement into everything you do in your day. With nutrition, I consider food to be fuel. So if you feed yourself garbage, your body has to work overtime to clean itself. But also, don't be afraid to participate in life. If you're at a birthday party, eat the cake. What does food as nutrition look like, though? It doesn't necessarily need to have a label. So an apple is an apple. It doesn't have a long ingredients list, doesn't have any warnings or anything like that. And I truly believe that food provides all the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that you need to thrive, grow, and to heal. So if you are aligning your body with what it's needing, you're providing it with all of these vital elements, which comes through food diversity. You eat different things, eat the color of the rainbow, like they say, then you're able to provide that. If you need to verify this for yourself, there's different apps you can use. I use the Chronometer. I don't know if that's available where you're at necessarily, but there's different apps that you can scan the barcode of things. You can just input what you're eating. You can even say sometimes the store that it's from, but with that, it'll then give you a breakdown of all the vitamins, nutrients, minerals, everything that's in it. And then throughout your day, you can see everything that you've ate and all the breakdowns, and make sure that you truly are getting what you need from your food, and you don't need to supplement it. So a lot of times the supplements, they may be full of fillers or other ingredients that you're not even certain, and your body may not even absorb them. Your body will absorb nutrients and stuff from natural foods a lot better than it will through supplements. When it comes to your nutrition, I like to follow the 80% rule. So you eat till you're 80% full, and then give it a couple minutes, up to about 20 minutes. It gives your stomach time to catch up with your brain, and then you realize, oh, I am full. Otherwise, if you take yourself to where you're feeling full in 20 minutes, you're going to feel overfull, uncomfortable, then you don't want to move around. It has, it's trickle-down effects. I also encourage a plant slant. Now, this doesn't mean, cut out all meat. Sometimes that's just not what your body needs. Some people need more meat than others. So just try to, have a plant forward diet. The plants are really where a lot of the nutrients are. And when it comes to alcohol consumption, this goes back and forth, but there are studies out there that confirm that moderate wine consumption, so maybe 1 glass a day or a couple glasses a week, can actually have benefits on your body, on your heart. And most importantly, make sure you're drinking water. The rule to this is to drink about half of your body weight in ounces. So if you weigh 200 pounds, drink about 100 ounces of water and space it out throughout the day. That way your brain, your cells, they have time to absorb it, instead of if you just drink it all at once, it just passes through your body and then you're going to the bathroom a lot, but you're not fully absorbing all of its benefits. And with all of that, when it comes to your health, your symptoms are feedback. So if you're experiencing an illness, an ache, anything like that, listen to your body and try to discover what it's truly trying to tell you, instead of just fixing the symptom, putting a Band-Aid on it. You can get to the root of the issue, and if you can nourish your body properly, it will heal itself. And I've even seen it to some of the most extreme cases. I know a 12-year-old that through proper natural methods, she's healed MS. So and these are her words. From a 12-year-old who can go from a wheelchair to running, jumping, and playing, I'd say that's pretty healed. And then lastly, within body vitality, rest is very, very important. You want to have down regulation within your day. So this might include mindfulness practices, maybe meditation, just being present. Maybe you do breath work. You also want to honor your natural circadian rhythm. So it'll ebb and flow throughout the day, but you want to try and mirror that off of sunlight and darkness, so that you're awake during sunlight hours, and then your body naturally wants to sleep during darkness. And I know that there are some people who work nights or work swing shifts, and so try to stay consistent with your days if you're doing that. Even on your days off, maintain that routine. And you want to get at least 6 hours of sleep as an adult, and focus on getting at least 25% of rapid eye movement sleep and deep sleep, because that's really where the healing and the restorative elements occur, is during those 2 aspects of sleep. You want to also honor your cycle. So both men and women have hormone cycles. Women are generally about 28 days, give or take, and men are generally about 24 hours. And just within the flow of that cycle, honor your body, honor what it's trying to tell you, rest when you need to rest, move when you want to move. There's also the lunar cycle, which coincidentally is 28 days, similar to a female cycle, but this also affects men. It affects energies. It affects the pull of the ocean tides. So there's a lot to the moon. And also honor the season that you're in. So there's 4 seasons to a year, generally, where most people live. And with those seasons, there's a time for rest. There's a time for growth. There's a time for restorative, like in the winter when you want to, I lost for words here, when you want to return to yourself and go inward so that you're preparing for that in the spring. You're now blooming into the next chapter of your life or the next season. So the third pillar is connection and contribution. This includes relationships, giving back, and sharing in the journey. Within relationships, it's found that those that live the longest lives have a strong connection and relationships in their life, and they can add on average 4 to 14 years to their life through these connections. So that's a pretty good motivator to stay connected with people. Also, those that live the longest, they put their families first. This includes caring for children and aging parents and just having that connection within the communities. Also, giving back, so helping one another. That might be lending your neighbor a cup of sugar. It might be raising a barn, like in the good old days, right? Whatever that help looks like. And don't be afraid to ask for help either, because that then provides an opportunity for others to give back to you. So don't let that connection be one-sided. And also share in the journey of life. Belong to a group of people with similar interests, which we can definitely find now here in school, and I'm so grateful for that. Perhaps your community is faith-based. You go to a church or whatever your belief system is, and you find other people that share in those beliefs. The value also comes through getting to know people on a personal level, getting to know their interests, if they have kids or pets, perhaps what they do for work, any hobbies that they have. And with this, show that you genuinely care about them. And also open yourself up to the same level of vulnerability and connection, which I know this can be very scary, but that's where the true connection comes, is through vulnerability. And that's also where growth comes from. Within this, I would also add communication. Not all of us know how to communicate in a way that is received in the way we intend. So within the blueprint method, I cover different ways to explore communication. I cover the wrong ways. I cover how you can adjust those wrong ways, give some examples. And communication is in every aspect of your life. Communicating to your boss, communicating to the mailman, communicating to yourself. Communication is everywhere, and I feel like it's very important. The fourth pillar is lifelong learning, and this can be done through reading, listening, asking questions, and trying new things. So right now in the Evergreen Evolution community, throughout the entire month, you're doing a lifelong learning challenge. And I've loved observing all of this, learning through your experiences, what you're learning and what you're sharing. So that is really fun. You can learn through seeking knowledge, through reading, listening, interacting with other people. I always say you don't know what you don't know. So you don't always know to ask questions. But if you just sit in community and you chat with other people, through those conversations, you pick up on new things that you didn't even know you were lacking or that you were needing in your life. And so there's value in that connection as well. I also encourage you to stay curious. So ask questions. be like a child. They ask so many questions in a day. If you have children, observe that and try to practice it. And also try new things. Be open to failing. As Dr. John Maxwell says, fail forward. So in your failures, don't be ashamed, but find the learning and the growth in those and continue to move forward and move up. And then the last pillar is purposeful living. Includes your why, values, actions, and daily alignment. So in purposeful living, this is where I explore your personal human blueprint. Explore who you are. And I like to break that down. Who are you? Not just your titles, your roles, what you do, what you enjoy, but truly, who are you at the most basic, most authentic level? And a lot of people don't have an answer for that. They don't even know themselves. And I really encourage you to go inward and explore this. You want to explore, your authentic self and your purpose in life. And I help people do that. And I see so many people here in the community that are doing that, their own exploration, or have already gone through that journey, which it continues through life. But having had that initial experience, you can then share that with other people so that they can begin their own exploration. And even having the awareness that there's more beyond your roles and your titles. This also includes your dominant traits and characteristics, some of your intrinsic values and your drivers, so things that might motivate you that come internally, so not externally through rewards, awards, kind of the same thing, or any other external motivators, which are temporary, although enjoyable. But the true motivation comes through internal, what you value, what's important to you. It also comes through your natural gifts and talents. So you might be really good at something, but that doesn't mean that you enjoy it. So you want to make sure that in these natural gifts and talents, there are things that you enjoy, and they will motivate you and drive you, and you won't even realize you've just wasted 3 hours doing something because you're enjoying every moment of it. And I also say that childhood voids also help to determine who you are. So, like for me, I kind of gave my story. My parents went through a divorce, and seeing that, experiencing that became a huge value in my life. It created a void, not having that stable parent marriage relationship. So then it became super important, so that not only do I create that in my life, create that for my daughter, but I also help others have that in their own lives through the various relationships that they have. And I also say, try to exercise this within an 80-20 rule. You can't be 100%. Nothing is 100% in life. But as long as you try to stay within 80% of who you are and honor that, then you will have a fulfilling life. There's going to be times where you have to go to the dentist. You have to go to a job that you don't enjoy, or just there's these things that you don't necessarily enjoy. And yeah, you try to avoid them, but there's going to be times they're unavoidable. So try to minimize those to about 20% of your life, 20% of your day, and you will still stay in that fulfilled, authentic space. Explore what is your why. So like I said, I told mine, you need your why to be strong enough that it fuels you. So if your current why is not enough to help you push through the hard times, we'll go a little deeper. What is something within that can fuel you more? What is more important to you? And so to elaborate on mine a little bit more, I found that it's really important for me to be home with my daughter after having a kid, and just to not miss any of those moments. They go by so fast. For you parents, you may know what I'm talking about. Also, it's so important for me to do what I love to help others, and to live a life of freedom. So this past week, I, I spent the whole time working, but I was camping and I was doing what I loved, and I had the most amazing time. So find what you love and make it part of your life. With your values, you want to explore some of your voids. Like I said, these are just things that are missing in your life. These can change though too. If you fill a void, if you do something that now satisfies what was missing, well, that's no longer going to be a motivator, but it then opens up the opportunity for more voids or other voids or changing voids. And so it's ever evolving, and just continue to look for them and see how you can seek them out, fulfill them, and find others to motivate you. Your other values are also your personal values, things that are important to you, things that maybe your family taught you were important and you've personally taken that on as a value. And then other would be your beliefs, things that you believe. Perhaps this is within your faith or just within a core knowing. All of that can be what you value, what's important to you. You can also solidify this through affirmations. So I am statements or truth statements, things that you tell yourself that you believe to be true. I have a system that I use that helps you to get into the theta brainwave using frequencies. And that opens up your mind to the receptivity that these beliefs are true and helps you embody the beliefs. For your actions, your dreams, they do come true. So dream big. But I'll say this, they require action. So you can dream all day long, but until you start putting forth your actions towards those, even taking a first step, and then the next step, and the next step, that's where the power comes in making the dreams a reality. And change is inevitable. So just be open to that and realize that nothing is permanent. Like I said, relationships aren't permanent in your life. But through inevitable change and through actions, you can control the direction of that change, and you can control most aspects of your life, especially the way that you react to life. And you want to do this through daily alignment. So the big goals, they're achieved through small actions, through daily consistency. And like I said, that starts with the first step. And you want to be consistent so that you can grow, maintain that. And yeah, you can take breaks, do what you're called to do. But as long as you stay consistent over time, you will achieve those dreams and those goals. And I mentioned the 4 agreements earlier. With daily alignment, just do your best. Do your best for that day. And like I said, getting out of bed, that may be your best. But you're accepting and loving yourself for that, and knowing that later in the day, tomorrow, or next week, every day, in doing your best, life gets better. And give yourself grace. So that's the 5 pillars, and brought to you from the blueprint method perspective. I want to thank you all for joining me through that exploration. And I hope that this conversation has sparked something within you, perhaps a remembering, a reconnection, or maybe even a deeper truth. And I'd like to open it up, if we're okay, Brandon, for any questions that we may have.
Yeah, thank you, Melissa. That was incredible. I'm gonna actually have to watch it back through because it really sparked a lot of things for me. For like, we're kind of sparking life into foundations, and I think this is actually a great way to do that. Look what I have. The 4 agreements is actually like, I'm gonna start reading it today. I got my copy, and tonight when I read, I'm definitely reading it. That sparked a lot for me, from relationships to everything you said about across the pillars. I can't wait to talk to you more about different things. So yeah, thank you so much for that. And I will let, if anyone else wants to take themselves off of mute, or if there's any questions, drop it in the chat and Melissa can answer them. But Melissa, again, thank you. That was eye-opening on different levels. At first I was like, ooh, that's the moment that was eye-opening. And then like 5 minutes later, you would say something and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I need to think about that too. So I really appreciate everything that you brought to the table there.
Absolutely, yes. So what questions? I don't know if we do a hand raise or if anyone just wants to unmute and talk.
Yeah, just unmute and go if anyone has any questions for Melissa.
Dr. Melissa, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to teach us something new.
Thank you, Christian. I'm so glad that you were able to be here live. I hope that you got something out of this as well.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And Melissa, Jesus asked for the recording for his kids, which I think is awesome. He works out with his kids a lot. He's a super active dad. I see that in EE all the time. So I'm going to email that to him. I will email you the recording from my end. And then anyone else, the recording will be in both Evergreen Evolution and Evergreen Foundations. I will do a follow-up thread after this if anyone wants to drop in with comments if you have questions later. I know Melissa's always super active on Skool, so I know within the next 24 hours she will definitely get back to you. So if you have questions later, guys, just drop them into the thread. And again, Melissa, thank you so much for this. These guest opportunities are pretty great. Can't wait to connect more soon.
Yes.
If anyone else has any questions?
I have a quick question. You know how we always do the inner reflection and be our authentic self? Is there a qualifier knowing that you are aligned with your authentic self?
So I would like to say that, from my own experience, it comes from more of a feeling. So it's going to come from your heart or your gut versus your head. Your head is more the logic side of things and can get in your way. But your authenticity, sometimes a tricky word, it comes just from an inner knowing or a feeling. So even if you just kind of scan your body, take a couple breaths if that's what you need to calm your nervous system, and just kind of look in your heart space, in your gut space, just kind of picture your heart or your gut, and see if you're feeling it there, and if you're not, if you're feeling in your head, just kind of rethink, what is it that is inauthentic about this, or how can I go deeper so that it is authentic? Thank you. That's a good question.
Thanks.
That was a great question and a great answer. All right, guys, if no one else has any questions, Melissa, thank you again. Everyone have a great day. Drop into the thread. I'll put that in soon. And look forward to the end of the Lifelong Learning Challenge and everything that we got going on in both Foundations and Evergreen Evolution.